Hello folks, Dr. Paul Piquel here. I'm an assistant professor of teaching at the University of British Columbia in the Faculty of Forestry. In this video, I want to show some of the new features associated with our upcoming Minetest Classroom game. And so this is a sub-game of the Minetest engine that is meant to create and handle and manage classrooms for teaching and learning. So let's get into it. So one of the features that I'm going to be demonstrating today in this video is going to be creating classrooms and just managing them. So once you spawn into the world or the server, we have this default world here that we're using, which is the Vancouver, just a portion of downtown Vancouver. And you'd seen from one of my previous videos that this is created from LiDAR data, so I'm not going to get into that. But I do want to show how you can actually create other classrooms and other environments for teaching and learning. So I'm going to demo these mostly within the chat commands. And so I'm not going to show the graphical user interface, but just to give you a flavor of all the different commands you can use and how to use them and get started. So the most basic command would be to simply create a new realm, which is simply realm new. And you'll see in the chat there it says that we've created a new realm with the ID of 2, and it'll give you an update of when it's done. This is very, very quick. So you can create blank realms, you can create prefabricated realms, you can generate new realms, and realm here is synonymous with classroom. So we're going to teleport TP to the realm ID of 2 that we just created and see what it looks like. So here we are. It's quite literally just a blank slate. It's a cube. So that's the bottom of it. That's the top, and it's bounded by this impenetrable barrier that anybody else except me as the admin cannot cross. And yeah, it's just blank. So if you want, you can quickly create a blank realm like this. You can design, decorate it however you want, do whatever you want with it. You can even save these, which I'll show in a moment. So let's actually create something a bit more sophisticated. I'm going to create another new realm. You can also name your realms. I'm going to name this one Test. And you can also define the sizes of realms. So I'm going to size this one as a 200 by 200 by 200 cube. And for some of these commands, I'm just going to speed up the time a little bit so that you don't have to worry about watching these. So now I'm just going to quickly teleport to the new realm at ID of 3. And you can see here we again have another realm, another classroom that is 200 by 200 by 200. You'll also notice as you look off into the distance that we are slowly moving away from our spawn realm. And so this is a feature of the Minetest Classroom realm management system. So you can create many, many realms. And if you were to go into the debug of the debug information of the game, you would start to see that our coordinates are very, very low, and so you can create literally many, many realms without ever having to worry about running out of space. It does, of course, take longer to create larger realms, so you just have to be aware of that and kind of be patient. So this is a 200 by 200 realm. You can also check and see what the current list of realms are just by going to realm list. And that will show you that there's the spawn realm at ID of 1, an unnamed realm that we created initially at 2, and then the test realm that we're currently in at 3. You'll also see in the bottom left-hand of your corner of your screen the realm number and the name if it's assigned. So it's another way to kind of see where you're at within the whole realm system or classroom system. One of the other cool features is that we can also generate some interesting stuff for within these realms or within these classrooms. So if you don't want a blank slate, you can use the command gen, G-E-N, and then give the ID number of the realm that you want to generate something within. And we can decorate or generate this realm with both terrain and also decorations on top of the terrain. So you can use, there's a couple of different versions of a terrain and decorators that are available or currently registered. There's version 1 and also version 2. And so the sequence of The sequence of these commands is that you need to define what the terrain generator is, the version of the terrain generator. So we're going to use version 2 for that. And the second one is the version of the decorator. So again, you can use version 1 or version 2 or version 2, version 2, version 1, version 1, et cetera, et cetera. And then you can also define the sea level for that. So we can just say 10 nodes high. And then the last numbers here are going to be just a seed that we're going to give. And you don't have to give a seed. I'm just going to give one here so that you can see how it's reproduced, and we can show some other things that you can do with a nice seed. Okay, so as promised, I sped that up a little bit for you. You'll see that we've basically taken this existing classroom and we've just decorated it with some terrain, or generated some terrain rather, and then decorated it with this sort of vanilla version 2 terrain generator and version 2 terrain decorator. So it's pretty rudimentary, gives you some nice random terrain to work with. You can regenerate this exact terrain using that seed that I put in there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the same for the decorations on top, which are in this case, just the trees. So that's an example of using those terrain generators and decorators. You can try using version 1. It's very, very similar. But what I'm going to show instead is actually the biomes. So you can also generate biomes. We have the Biome Gen mod included in this package for Minetest Classroom, and we've also started to add some more of our own biomes, which I'll show here in a moment as well. So we're going to continue to use the version 2 terrain generator, but we're going to switch to using the Biome Gen decorator, which is going to change what happens on top of the terrain. So again, we'll leave everything else as is. The only thing we're going to add here at the end is actually just the name of a biome. So we're going to use, let's say, rainforest, and this will take a moment to do, and I'll speed it up for you. All right, and there you have it. Our rainforest is coming in. You can see up there in the chat, it reports how long it took. So that took about a minute to generate all of this rainforest. And you can see that there's quite a bit of stuff to generate with this particular biome. So we have a lot of trees, a lot of stuff on the top. It's probably a bit difficult to appreciate, but the terrain below has stayed the same. So the terrain, the height map has not changed, only the decorations on top. So we've just basically imposed a rainforest biome, which decorates it this way. That's the soil and the other features in the rainforest. We can also see all of the biomes that are registered by running Realm Biomes. And currently we have registered 257 biomes, which is pretty amazing. That includes about 30 of kind of the basic vanilla kind of biomes that you would expect in the world. So like rainforest, for example, desert, tundra, all those different biomes. We've actually added support to register BEC zones for British Columbia. So we have over 200 BEC zones that have been registered here. And at this point, they're not too spectacular, but I'll show a few of them. Basically, they allow us to modify what the terrain stuff is, and what the terrain top is, and the lower soils and that kind of thing. It doesn't actually at this stage allow us to show any vegetation and other schematics and features on top of the terrain, but that's something that's a work in progress and forthcoming. But to give you an idea of how this works, these are registered as MCBEC biome, and then the name of the BEC zone that you want to do. So we could do, for example, the CDF Maritime, and run that, and I'll speed it up for you. All right, so There is sort of the base, let's say the base canvas for the CDF, and this is the zone that's here, we enjoy here in Vancouver. So right now, yeah, as I said, there's not really anything above it, but it just kind of changes what's on the surface here. And those kinds of things, how water is associated with the terrain. We can change it to also, I don't know, alpine tundra, and see what that one looks like. And I'll speed this one up for you as well, so you don't have to wait. All right, and here comes the alpine tundra. As you can see, nothing too spectacular, no huge takeaways here, but it does respect the temperature, humidity, and basically the temperature, the humidity, the precipitation of the biomes. So you get different types of soils and this kind of thing as you move around or as you change your biome. So yeah, you can also visualize, as I said, some of the other vanilla biomes. So for example, there's grassland, which looks like this, basically grass, as you can see. And there are some low plants on this particular one that are visible beyond just sort of the green colored texture of the ground surface. So that's grassland, and I'll show you one more. I'll show you deserts. That's one of the other defaults, sort of vanilla biomes that are baked in here. So this is desert, which looks like this. And yeah, as I said, these are a work in progress, so we don't actually have the decorators on top in terms of the other features and stuff that you might want to see. But hopefully you get the idea that the biomes are set according to their climates, and for the BEC zones, we've actually derived all the climate information from Climate BC, and that's where we're getting our climate information for actually building these worlds. And this is what the desert looks like. So presumably you can also dig down below the surface of the sand if you want, and you'll see that there's other layers below there as well. Okay, so those are some biomes just to get you started with. As you can see, there's quite a few in there. You can go play around with them. The other feature that I wanted to show you is actually just changing the water level. So we've set the sea level at 10, and this whole world is 200 blocks or nodes high vertically. So I'm just going to adjust the water level. I'm going to raise it to 40. Just to show you how you can visualize the water table rising in the map if you wanted to simulate that. And I'll speed this up again for you. All right, and there you have the water table at 40. You can see how that also impacts the edges of sort of where the water meets the existing biome. So it does. The biome registry also manages that. It manages what that looks like and how that's applied across the world. So you can also do this incrementally. So I went up to 40. You can also take it down or up, in smaller increments if you want. So we can go down to 35 and see what that looks like. And again, I'll speed this up. All right, and now you can see that we've reduced the water table by basically 5 meters, 5 blocks. And yeah, so it's a really interesting way to sort of explore. Of course, you could take some, if you really like the terrain and you want to do an underwater world, you could also do that, setting the sea level, basically as high as the world is, and you could get some really nice effects. I'm actually going to run back to the spawn realm, which in this case is always realm ID number 1 to begin with, which is here back in Vancouver. And here I want to show you another example of using the realm gen command. I'm going to use it on realm number 1 because I'm in the spawn realm right now. And I'm going to show one of the other terrain height generators you can use, which is called DNR. DNR stands for do not replace. So in fact, what this is going to do is it's going to take the existing schematic, the existing world as it is, and it's going to not generate any new terrain, but it will generate new decorations. We could just use the version 2 decorator for that. And then what I can do is actually show you, I'm going to use the biome gen decorator, and I'll show you basically how you can modify the sea level for this world or any other world. I'm just going to again use a sort of a random, or not a random, but a seed of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we're going to use MC-Beck biome. We're going to again use the CDF MM. This is just going to kind of give us a blank biome decoration on top of this existing terrain, and it's going to raise the sea level up to 10. So I'm going to fly up so you can kind of appreciate what's going to happen. Currently, this DNR command does not respect maintaining the existing block types. So it does respect the fact that that the heights of the current blocks and where they're at and all that stuff is what is considered terrain. So when it creates or generates this new world, it's going to actually replace those block types with the block types of the decorator that you're using. So in this case, we're using the CDF, and you can start to appreciate how that changes. Or how the different elevations within the CDF are changing the different block types, different soils and so forth. But it's basically taken our buildings and converted them into land and other ores and stuff. But what's really cool about this is that you can actually simulate different sea level rise. So like here in Vancouver, this is just raising sea level from where it was to 10 meters in the game. And this isn't at all accurate. First of all, because the base elevation of this map is not at sea level to begin with. But nonetheless, I hope you can appreciate sort of where or the types of applications that you could do with this kind of thing, where you could start to see how climate change or sea level rise might impact some coastal cities, and start to appreciate flooding risks and other kinds of things. And you can play with the water tables and everything. As I said, these terrain decorators are a work in progress, so we are also going to implement this with the ability to maintain the existing block types. In the case that you just wanted to change something like sea level, then you could do that as well. So that's another fun feature you can do. The other cool thing you can do is we can actually support loading in different realms, different schematics that you might have saved. So I mentioned you could save schematics. You can also load schematics. And for this, I'm just going to show you the command that's called realm schematic. If you don't know what realm schematics are available or what they're called, you can run it as a list and just return all of the available schematics that are registered. So currently in our development package here, we have I don't know, about a dozen or so. Some that we've kind of made up, tests, Shack, and all that kind of stuff. There are some real ones, like Vancouver OSM is the one that we're currently looking at. Or we're looking at before I completely hacked it to pieces. And it also gives you or returns the location of where that schematic is saved. So by default, they're in the Minetest Classroom mods, MC Teacher, and then there's a maps folder in there for those schematics. So you can load any of these if you want into a new classroom or a new realm. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to realm schematic load, and I'm going to load Malcolm Knapp Research Forest 512, and we're going to look at all. I think I've reported on this one in a previous video. This is a realm that is or this is a schematic that is generated also from LiDAR data. It's LiDAR data that are coming from UBC's Malcolm Knapp Research Forest, which is near Maple Ridge in British Columbia. And this particular schematic is 512 by 512, I believe by 512. So it's a fairly large map. And you can see it loads quite quick, especially compared with doing some of the other biome gen stuff that we were just doing. It loaded it into an ID4, so I'm just going to hop over to Realm 4 to show you what this looks like. And yeah, well, here we are. So now we're in the middle of this schematic, and it might still take a little bit to load up so we can see it all and appreciate it. This is the portion, small portion of the Malcolm Knapp Research Forest. So this is a this open area here is actually a cut block or a harvest block. And on the upper and lower slopes are some forests, which you can start to see and appreciate there. And there's some more forest down here on the lower slope. So as you can see, again, this is quite a large map. This is, twice the dimension, well, all 3 dimensions of the other. So it's quite a lot more blocks and nodes that are being loaded at once. But it's as you can see, it's pretty quick, for being such a large map. So you can load maps like this, and the same is true if you were creating a blank world and designing some other classroom or something. You could also save that world using the realm schematic save, and that will actually save the realm to a file on the disk or on the server, or on your computer in this case. And if you wanted to access it, you would have to restart the game, or you'd have to restart the server in order for that new schematic to be seen by the game. But it is possible to sort of work on these classrooms as you want, sort of on your own time, create them, save them, come back to them, continue to work on them, all that kind of stuff, and then load them up whenever you need as an actual classroom. So that's sort of what I've done here. This is one that I've been using for a while now, and it's been saved, so I can just load it up quite quickly. There's other variations of this as well. I have another one of these Malcolm Knapp Research Forests that actually has just the digital terrain model. So it's going to remove the forest here and just sort of show you a view of the terrain. And I want to show that one just so I can demonstrate one of the other functions that you can do with the do not replace and using another terrain decorator, so that you can see what this terrain or what this area might look like if you were using a different biome or some other biome decorator, basically. All right, so there it's been created. It's at a new realm, so I'm going to hop on over to realm 5. All right, here it comes. So this is the exact same well, not the exact same. This is the same data, the same location in Malcolm Knapp. It's just showing the terrain, actually. So there's no decorations on top. So it's basically just a blank slate in terms of the terrain. And all of the forest, the trees, and everything have been removed from it, so it's a little more of a blank slate than the other one. What I wanted to show with this is just how you can also use the realm gen. We're in realm 5. I'm going to use the do not replace terrain generator, so it's going to maintain this terrain as is. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to decorate it with biome gen, and I'm going to use a sea level, I don't know, let's say 40. We can use a random seed. The seed in this case is not for the terrain, it's for the decorations on top of the terrain. And then the name of the decorator that I'm going to use within biome gen is one of the vanilla decorators that's just called the deciduous forest. So the other classroom that I showed you over there when I decorated the entire, or when I basically preloaded the entire schematic. Those are coniferous trees that are in Malcolm Knapp Research Forest. So this would just be sort of a way to show how you can take some other existing terrain, for example, from LiDAR or any other height map, and simulate or visualize any other kind of decoration or biome on top of it. Okay, admittedly, that took a little bit longer than I expected. As you can see, it took almost 300 seconds up there. So over a very large area like this, again, this is over 500 by 500 nodes, by 500 nodes. So it's quite a large area, and I think it was taking a while to actually generate for that much terrain. But generally, you get the gist. Basically, it's just replaced, or it's added decorations on top of this terrain without replacing the terrain that do not replace terrain generator. And it's added some aspen trees and apple trees, lovely apple trees, all over the research forest here. So, and by the way, I guess down here at the bottom, you can start to see the encroachment of the water level rising. So if that were something, again, that you wanted to simulate flooding or sea level rise or something, again, this is something that you could do with these, both the terrain generator and the decorators that we have in here. As you can imagine, the decorators and the terrain generators are not meant to be used in game. Like if you're actually in a classroom session, you probably don't want to be trying to do this. Now, admittedly, I'm running all of this along with my screen sharing, screen recording software on an older PC, older laptop. So a better computer would probably handle this a bit better, but it's not something that you'd probably want to be running with students in the classroom, like on an actual server. But it is possible to run all of this and set it up so that you have these classrooms ready to go. And for example, I can go back to any of these other classrooms that I've already made, and they're still there, ready to explore. So it is possible to go hop around and see instantly other places. It's also possible, I'm not going to show it in this video, but it's possible for students to hop around quite easily with the help of their student notebook and some other features that we've embedded within the Minetest Classroom game. There are a bunch of other features. Those are really the ones that I wanted to demo in this video, but there are a lot of other features in Realm that you can also check out. So just running Realm help will give you a list up there in the chat of all the other things you can do. There are you can set the spawn of a realm. You can also set a realm as the spawn realm if you want. You can regenerate. If you end up doing a bunch of stuff to the classroom, you can regenerate it using the same decorator and the same terrain generator that you used to create it. So it's kind of a nice way to reset it. There's a bunch of other things in there you can do. I'm not going to go through all of them, but another simple one would be to delete a realm. So right now I'm in Realm 4. I could delete Realm 4. And that'll happen very quickly. It'll just take me back to the spawn realm, which I've completely mangled. So there's a lot of other things that you can do within the classroom management system, but that's all I wanted to cover for this video, and that's all for now. Thanks for watching.